Hello, everyone. I hope that you can all see and hear me. If that is the case, then hi, and thank you for having me. Greetings from sunny Riga and Latvia. Hopefully, the weather is just as nice wherever you may be in the world. And yeah, so I am here to talk a little about Printful, so a company out of Latvia with a lot of business going on all over the world. And yeah, so let's jump right in. So as for myself, I was already introduced, but just to repeat, so my name is Christian Sozos, and I am head of operations and strategic partnerships at Printful. Have been with the company for a while, and yeah, it's just been amazing to see all the things that we've accomplished over the years. But so before we go into detail about what we've achieved, so let me tell you a little bit about what Printful is for those of you who might not know. So in essence, Printful is an e-commerce company. So we call ourselves a software company first, but we are also a manufacturer. And basically, we operate in an industry called print on demand, meaning we work with online retailers, so it's a B2B service primarily, and we try to solve as many problems as possible for online retailers. So one is we take care of the software part and integrations with e-commerce companies like Shopify, WooCommerce, etc. But we also produce the products themselves that our customers are selling online, and then we ship them to their end customer or the buyer. So it's a very thorough service. Basically, we are trying to be the A to Z solution for anyone trying to sell products online, especially when it comes to customized apparel, but not just that. As I mentioned, so what we try to do is we try to help people achieve their ideas and their business goals. And by doing so, we are obviously becoming more successful ourselves as well. And so we're directly invested in trying to make our customers as successful as possible. And all our business is basically evolving around that. So in terms of our customer base, so it can be anyone starting from a person who is working their 9-to-5 job and have just started out trying e-commerce, opening their first online store. Maybe they don't know what to sell. They can come to us, create products very easily on our software, push them to their store, and once an order comes in, we will do the rest, basically. So all they can think about is new design ideas and basically improving their marketing skills to generate sales. But we also have a lot of people like influencers, YouTubers, gamers who already have an audience, and they just want to monetize that. And then there's also a pretty strong segment of enterprise level companies or brands who come to us with an existing, product portfolio or specific content that they want to put on merchandise and sell online and do it in a more environmentally friendly way. As you see at Printful, we have really taken up the idea that we want to become as sustainable as possible and sort of like try to reshape the fashion industry in general. Because as you know, the fashion industry is, it has a pretty big impact on the environment, obviously, and people are always going to continue to, buy nice clothes and things like that. But it can be done in a more sustainable way. And we believe that print on demand and on-demand manufacturing is a good first step in this direction because you never overproduce an item. We only produce something that somebody has already bought, so there's no overproduction possible in all of this. And this is a great thing and a great selling point, not just for us going and pitching to larger companies, but it's also a very strong selling point for the individual retailer because obviously the customer behavior has been changing, and there is a growing demand for products that are not only fashionable but also environmentally friendly. And if they can get produced and shipped to you in a more sustainable way, using recycled materials and things like that, then that is definitely the way to go. And we've seen a huge rise in demand for that. But okay, enough about that. So this has already been mentioned, but yes, we have recently become the first Latvian unicorn. So Latvia has now officially joined the club of other European countries with their own billion-dollar companies. And yeah, let me tell you, it's been a long way to actually get here. It has been a very humbling experience along the way, but it's also obviously a very fun ride. And I believe that there's a lot more room for growth in the whole e-commerce industry, of course, but also in print on demand. So you'll probably be hearing more from us further down the road as well. Okay, and so now we've reached the part where I actually tell you of how we came to be and how we entered the North American market. So it actually all started out with a different company called Startup Vitamins, which was founded by Printful shareholders and founders, essentially, who were a couple of guys who, were very tech savvy. And back in the day, they started their own social network in Latvia called Draugiem.lv. And Draugiem was extremely successful. That was back in 2004, 2005. Quickly grew and obviously generated enough capital for them to really experiment throughout various industries. But the one that really caught their eye was e-commerce. And so in around 2011, one of our co-founders, Lauris, moved to LA. And he was really interested in tackling the North American e-commerce market. And what he did was he actually came up with an idea for a nice online store. So essentially, a business that would now be considered, one of Printful's customers, and it actually is a Printful customer. But yeah, so the store name was Startup Vitamins. So essentially, what they did was they sold motivational posters to other businesses and startups. It was really popular back in the day to decorate your offices in the likes of Google, etc. And so by creating nice designs and using outsourcing partners to fulfill these orders, they were able to quickly scale and grow a pretty decent online business. And they even generated some media coverage around this, because the offices of Twitter and LinkedIn actually also placed orders for such posters for their own offices. So we became really, a vitamin for other companies to motivate their employees to make their design space a little bit more nicer. And as we were scaling, obviously there came a need for a more sustainable business model where we are either producing ourselves or find a good partner that could, essentially make sure that all our needs are matched and all our checkboxes are checked. And that was not the case back in 2011, 2012. So really there were companies doing on-demand manufacturing, but none could match the, sort of like the level of quality that we were straining for, or for example, the level of fulfillment speed, pricing, and automation in particular. That was something that our founders really valued, and they just didn't see enough automation in the industry. So you ended up having to, when an order comes in, you needed to send an email with an image of that order to a manufacturer to actually get a poster produced. So it wasn't really efficient. And obviously, our founders, being tech-savvy guys, they thought that, okay, there's a better way to do this, and let's try to experiment a little bit and create something for ourselves. And if we have this problem, then there's probably thousands, if not tens of thousands, of other merchants out there who are facing the same issues. Maybe there are people who would want to start their own business online if these problems would get solved by somebody. And that is how Printful came into being. So actually, I cannot tell you that Printful was, started solely in Europe and then shifted on to North America. We pretty much knew from day one that North America was, a good market for us. Obviously, the product got developed in Europe with European minds and knowledge. but taking into account that we will never be fixating only on Europe, we wanted to be global from day one and try to provide our services to anybody who might need them. And North America, especially the US being the large market that it is, obviously was very lucrative to us. And so it coincided well with the time of, this entrepreneurial spirit being reborn. So there were all sorts of business ventures that one could start back in the day as a side hustle. So Uber, Airbnb, all these different ways to generate extra income. And this also coincided with, when Shopify got created and Shopify started growing, which is a great business partner of ours still to this day. And so when Printful was created, so one thing we understood really quickly was that, okay, we need to, partner up with the right platforms to really be able to provide our services to, somebody who might actually need them. And so Shopify was a natural partner that came to mind. And so we actually developed an app on their platform, on their marketplace, and it actually became very successful. We became one of the top POD apps there, and we still are. But the start of it all, as you can see back in 2014, was a little bit more humble. So that's Lauris that you see, and he actually is fulfilling some of the orders that have come in himself. Because obviously, we started out very gradually with the whole Printful idea, and the first thing to do was to buy a Printful and see how printing out and fulfilling orders, shipping them ourselves would look like, and whether or not that's something that we could actually handle. And so there you see him in his living room fulfilling some of the first orders, and then his wife would pick up these orders and go to the nearest USPS post office and basically just ship the orders out to the end customer. So that is the beginning of Printful. And back then we only had like a very small team of people in Europe working on developing the software and basically making sure everything works. But obviously we quickly scaled up after that. And I mentioned before that Starter Vitamins actually got decent media coverage, and so we tried to leverage that, and it actually helped us with Printful as well, basically saying that, okay, this comes from the founders of Starter Vitamins, Printful. We actually got pretty decent media coverage, which led to new customers coming in. So it's always important to think about ways how you can, spread the word about your company. And like I said, the timing was perfect for this because, this whole new generation of entrepreneurs trying out online commerce came into being. And so selling merchandise online was a very popular thing at the time. So it was a great idea at a great time. So we really rode the wave there. And so, yeah, fast forward, what is it, like 8 years now? We have obviously grown tremendously, and we have now more than 250 various types of products and product categories that we offer. We still offer posters, of course, but we've expanded way beyond that as well. And now we have luckily moved out of Lauris's apartment and have actually expanded nicely across the world into several fulfillment centers, the largest ones being in the US, because that's where most of our business is currently located in. But we're actually planning to open new facilities in Europe as well this year. So we've already announced that we will be opening a new facility in the UK. And also a new one in Dallas, Texas. So we are expanding quite nicely. The idea here is to be as close to your end customer as possible. So obviously, when it comes to e-commerce, buying stuff online, obviously there is this, consumer expectation that they will receive the order as fast as possible. And even though everybody likes print on demand for its, better sustainability features, like you only manufacture something once an order comes in. There's also a negative aspect to that, is that you still need to manufacture that order once it comes in. So what ends up happening is that the end customer has to wait 1 or 2 days longer. So we need to really try to streamline our operations to make sure to be able to fulfill these orders as soon as possible. And we can only do that by very optimized manufacturing capabilities, the best in-class machinery, and obviously great talent operating on those. And yeah, as you can see right now, we've expanded quite nicely. So hopefully, once this year's peak season, which is November, December, kicks in, we will be able to tackle this new incoming volume of orders generated by also COVID restrictions and everything like that. So we really see that people are now more than ever buying stuff online, and that in certain markets, really people have overcome this boundary, this invisible obstacle of, that shopping online is okay. Some markets are earlier to that, some are not, but we see that now in general, a lot more people are interested in that. And we also see that there's a lot more interest in also doing online retail. So it works both ways for us. And so currently Printful is waiting for its 2,000th employee to join. So that should hopefully happen sometime later in June. So we will have grown to a significantly large team. But the interesting thing here is, so like I mentioned, we consider ourselves a software company, and I believe that there's more than 10% of the whole employees that are developers at Printful. So even though we're heavily invested in manufacturing, we are still investing heavily in software solutions as well. So yeah, we've invested more than 50 mil in various types of equipment, have printed more than 30 million items to this day, and will print a lot more. So every year that number increases drastically. So we've seen quite incredible growth over the past couple of years. And we've helped sell almost $1 billion in revenue for our customers, basically. So that's the number that our customers have sold through us. And yeah, so another fun fact, so we've been mentioned one of the fastest growing companies in the US in the recent years. So that's always a good to have, and sort of like another way to prove that, okay, so we are being noticed, and apparently, we've come a long way. And yeah, so one thing to take away from this whole presentation and from the Printful experience would be that obviously luck and timing play a very important factor, but any company can become successful if you give it all you've got and you really go for it. So what you need to consider is to really know your market. As I said, we were never planning on being a Latvian company only, or targeting the European market only. From day one, we knew that our customers are probably going to be located in the US as well, or at least they will want to sell to the US market. So that's where we went. Obviously, you need to hire, top talent. And for us, that came a little bit easier because obviously the founders had other companies beforehand. And so their conglomerate basically allowed them to quickly rotate employees from one branch to another. And as Printful started scaling, obviously there was a lot of interest from people, especially developers, to move into this new fast-growing company within the whole conglomerate. And then obviously something to consider is, for us, quality and the user experience have always been more important than anything else. And obviously e-commerce is a market where pricing plays a very significant role, but we've always tried to focus more on quality and going after the customer who really wants, to achieve return customers. And you can only do that if the customer is happy with their first purchase. So that's what we were striving for. And I think that we've carved out a very nice moat around our business model in this way, providing in-house manufacturing, but also being able to deliver to anywhere in the world. And thus we control the quality, we control the speed, and we control the user experience, both for the B2B customer and also for the end customer. And obviously it takes a lot of time. So Printful wasn't built in a day. As you see, the start of it all was pretty humble, but we always experiment and try new initiatives, try to test new ideas. That is very important, and Printful is still doing that, rolling out new satellite services like warehousing or other software services that are attached to the whole e-commerce and print-on-demand niche. So we're constantly expanding and trying out new things and keeping our developers very busy. So that's something you should always continue to do. And so I wanted to end with this quote from Lauris, one of our co-founders. So basically what you need to do is you just need to start. It doesn't matter if you're ready, if you know the whole thing or not. Just start trying out your idea and you'll see where it will lead you. So start before you feel ready. That's something that we certainly did. Maybe if we would have known all the difficulties of this industry, we would have just called it a day and not even tried. But here we are. So never give up. Always just try to test your ideas and move forward. And yeah, that's it from me. So thank you very much for your time.
Chris, we're on. So I've got one question, but Martin has a question too, and introduce yourself as well.
Hello, Chris. Martin Ring here. Thank you very much for a very interesting and insightful presentation, and congratulations. It's a tremendous journey and well done. Fantastic to see how you've expanded, how you're expanding globally, and on 2,000 employees. Congratulations. One of the things that you mentioned, and it's so important, as you say, is the quality and the user experience. So now that you're all over the globe, you're in Asia, you're in the USA, and you're in Europe, how do you ensure, as you continue to expand, that the user experience and the quality is top class, as you mentioned to us?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, it's a $1 million question, basically, right? So everybody needs to focus on international markets nowadays, and so there's a lot of localization efforts that are needed to do that. And in terms of the user experience, well, that is largely different across Asia or North America, or even in some countries in Europe. So what you really need to do is try to always stay focused on where your customer is coming from, and try to cater your solutions to make it as easy and understandable as it is for somebody in Japan to use your services. The design language needs to be different. Currencies, payment methods, all of that needs to be taken in consideration. And we have been lucky to have great teams of people working on all of these markets, trying to really tackle them, understand what the needs are of the local people, and then trying to achieve that. That comes down to, like I said, the design, the user experience, also the products themselves. So all of this is very important, and like I said, it takes time to achieve that, but you always need to move forward and try to do that.
So great, Chris. I've got one question, last question. We've got to keep on schedule. The expansion to the U.S. I understand West Coast, LA, Tijuana, even quite clear on the production side, cost. Charlotte and Toronto, how did you decide those locations, and what influence was there from the cities, investment agencies? Did you do it all online research? Take us through the process quickly of deciding on those two locations.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot of research that comes into such decisions, and we try to look at it from all possible perspectives, and even work with not just the local agencies in the country that we are aiming to go into, but also working with our embassies. So the Latvian embassies have also been largely very helpful, and also our investment and development agencies. A big thank you for everything that they have done. But in terms of the selection, obviously what we're looking at is, vicinity to our customers. So in the case of Toronto, so most of the Canadian population lives in the southeast area. of Canada. So that's basically, the Greater Toronto area. So that was a no-brainer for us. And then as for the East Coast, West Coast, yeah, so we started out in LA and California, and obviously that's the largest and most populous state. But there are a lot of, different states with large populations in the East Coast as well. So we knew that we needed to be there. And we started out with Charlotte because that's sort of like in the center. North Carolina is right between, like all the northeastern states and Florida and Texas. Shipping times were good, so we were like, okay, let's do it. And obviously, there was tremendous support from the local municipalities and governments trying to help us build our business and scale. Obviously, we brought a lot new jobs to the areas as well, which was sort of like a win-win situation.
Great. Chris, thank you very much. Great story. Congratulations as you guys expand and keep growing. I'm looking forward to seeing the next stage of your expansion the next 2 or 3 years. Congrats. Very interesting. Thank you very much for your time.